Hey everybody, today we're taking a look at the new collections of Sandman Book 5 and Book 6. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're going to look at the new-ish Sandman books. Book 5 came out, I believe it was earlier this year. Book 6 just came out, so I have them both. I did an overview for 1 through 4. I figured I'd finish up the series with 5 and 6. And it's kind of a good place to separate the overviews, I guess, because the 1 through 4 came out in a big chunk, and then 5 and 6 came out here this year in, I believe, 2023. And yeah, so the main Sandman series is all in 1 through 4. And these two collect all of the, not all, but most of the ancillary stuff written by Neil Gaiman, right? Death, High Cost of Living is not in these books. I don't know if I wish it was. I've heard it's very good. But in book 5 here, you have Sandman Midnight Theater #1, the prose edition of Sandman, the Dream Hunters, and Sandman Endless Nights. So let's look at that. Midnight Theater. I'm not sure if this is what's kicked off the Vertigo series with Wesley Dodds or anything like that. That Sandman, that's got a compendium out now. Not really sure. I wasn't reading comics at the time. I was a young boy when all that stuff came out. But the Dream Hunters, art by Yoshitaka Amano, is kind of a weird thing. It's a prose story, I guess, or a novel. I don't know how many pages it is, but it's got these beautiful paintings here inside the book. And I'm mentioning it because we're going to talk about it more when we get to book 6. Look at that. That's beautiful. The one nice thing about these books is they do have the fold-outs, and we'll talk more about some fold-outs when we get to book 6. But yeah, this is a prose thing. And then we have Sandman Endless Nights, and this is like I believe it's like a 6 or 7 part thing about all the different Endless. You visit all the different Endless that you met during the regular Sandman story. Now, I've only read volume 1, I think, once upon a time. Or no, I read through volume 3 of the smaller trades. So I've read parts of book 1 and I read all book 1 and probably half of book 2 in these collections. So I'm going to go back and reread them at some point. I think there might be next on my list. I'm not sure. I haven't figured that out yet. Milo Manara. You have, I don't know if it is Dave McKean, something like that, looks like. I know Frank Quitely's in the back here. That's not Frank Quitely. Here he is, doing Destiny. And yeah, you have the end of the book. So book 6 is a little weird, and it's kind of, not weird per se, but book 6 has, let's flip it over, I'll tell you. The Dream Hunters, the comic version, and Sandman Overture, as well as the Sandman Universe #1. So, remember the novel we had in here? Well, it turns out, I guess they turned it into a comic book by P. Craig Russell doing the art with Neil Gaiman here, and that is included in here as well. So, I don't know how I'm going to read this. Like, am I going to read the prose novel and then read the comic? Am I just going to read the comic? No idea, honestly. But yeah, it's a pretty hefty volume here. Totally different style of art from the painted stuff in the novel. So maybe I'll read both. And by the time I get to this, you'll forget about it. All right, so what really was I was interested in the most here is Sandman Overture. Now, I didn't know they were going to have a book 6, so I went and bought Sandman Overture as a separate trade. So these have the kind of matte, glossy-ish paper, and the Overture trade has a really nice glossy paper. So you can, I don't know if you can tell on this camera the differences here. This is a regular glossy paper, more like what Marvel has been doing over the past couple of years. What you would expect to see in a trade paperback over the last 20 years, whereas now DC's moved to this kind of matte-ish paper. The Sandman one is a little bit more gloss than the Superman Space Age or Batman the Night or any of the newer hardcovers or trade paperbacks they've put out. So maybe it's a little bit better. I'm not quite sure. But this is all J.H. Williams, and it does have the fold-outs in here. I believe there's 2 of them in Overture. So Overture is a 12-issue series, and I've heard, I haven't read it, I've heard that it serves better when you read it at the end of Sandman. So again, another fold-out in the book 6 thing. I'm going to keep my trade paperback of Overture, mainly because it has, well, this is the Sandman Universe Presents, where they launched all the new titles recently. Daniel Gaiman came back to write that one shot, and other writers have done it. But the Overture one, and I'm going to tell you on this now, has a ton of extras in the back. Just like all this stuff from J.H. Williams III, alternate covers, layouts, things like that. Just going deep into the art here. Dave McKean doing the covers. So I think that's very interesting. So I'm going to keep this Overture, as well as the nicer paper stock. So probably when I get to book 6, I'll probably switch over to the Overture trade paperback and read it that way. But yeah, if you want to know what's in these Sandman books, now you do. Do you need to buy both? I don't know. I kind of wish they had stuck the Dream Hunters in one volume, honestly, and just had the prose novel and the comic version in the same one. I'm not sure how they collected it before when they were doing like the individual trades or something like that, so maybe it's the same thing. But yeah, it kind of would have been nice to have it in one volume rather than 2, and that way you could just, you know, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm getting the same story in both volumes. Well, I guess we'll find out if I read both that way, right? So there you have it, Sandman Book 5 and Book 6, overview of those books. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.